Okay, so this is uh, going to be a video where I'm not going to really edit it, but this is just going to be a video on the new Kaijuro updates, and I don't really want to edit all this, because I'm going to be talking a lot, and sorry for my bad mic quality. I can't get to fix it, so, okay. So, let's just type in Wastelands, and here we have all these, so I'll just go through each element. So here, let's go nature first. So, there are not much new cards in nature, I guess, but these are some pretty cool cards. So first off, Power Ward. This is a trap. At the end of the round, give 3 random friendly minions plus 1000. This is... it's like alright filler. You could play it, but it won't really matter. It's probably just gonna be stuck in your hand the entire game, and you're gonna be losing draws because you don't really have any time to play it. This spell. The spell is actually pretty good. So it's basically just Power Crept Archmage Apprentice, because you can also just give all minions in your deck blocker. And you draw a spell, which this used to be just draw an adapt card, but they changed it, because this is after all the changes. And Spike Pits. This card, it works with Witch, so this card could be a choice in Witch decks. And it's cheap at 2 cost, and after your opponent plays a minion, give it a minus 4000. This could kill a lot of mid-range minions, such as like Void Trench or Zombie King, and we'll get to that later. So this card is not that bad. It's just worse than Marine Mine, I guess. This card, honestly think it's pretty... I have not seen this card really played. 2 random traits or gain 1000. I mean, 3000. I mean, that is a 3 cost 5k. So I guess that isn't that bad, because it's not like play first or anything. 2 random traits is also pretty good, but I don't really see decks using this because it's really just a stat stick. Golden Berry Trap. This is good for getting your beaters out. If your opponent has like Mind Radiance or Storm Spark, you just get a free 10k minion on board, and this card's pretty good. Nothing much I can say about it. So this card, Track Technician. This card's pretty good, actually. Not many people have been playing this, but in my opinion, this card's pretty good. It's like play all trap spells. Just playing a lot of traps, or like playing a lot of stuff, is just always good. And this is a 3 cost. Forgotten Chief. So your next adapt triggers both of its choices. So this just used to be way worse than Sun Clan Tortoise in every way possible, because it's your next, and it is a 4k, I guess, but Tortoise is also 4k. This is 4 cost, so there's not even any adapt things in 4s, so I guess it's too slow in my opinion, but it's not a bad card. I just think it's too slow, and it's a legendary. So this card, Badlands Beastmaster. So every adapt deck wants to play this. This is just a really good card because 2 1000 blockers. Blockers are just very good for protecting your minions, and nature desperately needs protection from removal. So this protects you from a lot of stuff besides AoE. Or you can just give your other minions 2000, which is not bad. And this card is very good. Highlander. So, Highlander, it is 5 cost. 5k. 5 cost, 5k. That's already not bad. And it has an effect. So 5 cost, 5k. And it has an effect that gives power. So your minions have plus 1000 for each trait they have. So basically this is just your minions have plus 1000 with like something like Voxa. And I've actually been using this card with cards like Pine Tree and like Shaman Forset, and I think this card's pretty good for just getting a lot of power in. This card could also work with like something like Bloodmane, and you just have a bunch of buffed Shroud minions. So it's not a bad card. I think it's good for the stats. So this split, it's not that good. Like, you're playing this, summon the top overstated minion from your deck. It does get Dawn Giant because Dawn Giant is an 11 cost 12k, but like, you're just summoning beaters. And it just not that good. Like, if this guy's in your hand and you have no minions in your deck, because there's not much overstated minions in the game, honestly. Like, I can't even name a lot on the top of my head with the overstated minions. And this just requires you to play 2 cards, and this guy's just a vanilla, so I don't think this split is very good, and I haven't seen it really played. So Sun Clan Tortoise, this is also another auto-include in Adapt decks, and this card is pretty good. This card used to be so busted. You used to draw an Adapt card and trigger both of its effects. And it's a 6 cost 4k, so not bad stats. Warren Shaman, so this card, it synergizes with Highlander, obviously. And give all your other minions everywhere a random trait. So this card is actually pretty good because a lot of the time you're going to get charge or burst on your cards, and Shroud protection is just very good. So every hit here is like honestly not even that bad. Like, but this is a 6 cost 3k, and it is a legendary, so which you're forced to play Voxa in nature. So this is good in like some decks like Pine Tree, and it is a really fun card. I really like this card, but I don't think it's very good. Old Tortoise. So this card is like busted. This card you summon any minion from your deck, so you summon Voxa and you play another card. That's 3 minions on the board, and you have like over 10k. And you can also just draw 2 cards, which is not that bad at all. This card is like, you can use this in any deck, and it's very good. Yeah, this is also auto-included in any Adapt decks. Ancestor Bear has plus 2000 for each trait this has. This card, it's like, it's not worth putting an 8 cost into your deck. Like, I don't really like this card. It's too expensive. It is 8k. It costs 8k, so it's not really that bad. But its effect is like so niche. It works with this and this, I guess. But the card's not that good, really. I just don't really like this card. It's just a beat stick. Verdant Helix. Okay, so this card is very good, yeah, but it is not an auto-include just because it's so expensive, and you're already playing cards like Old Tortoise, Voxa, and like Badlands Beastmaster. Those are expensive, so this card is a very huge investment, but shuffle all minions into the owner's deck. This could just make some decks like Souls cry, because this does shuffle tokens into your deck, and Has a bit of anti-synergy with Badlands Beastmaster, but something the top 2 card of your deck is not that bad either. It's like a board wipe connected to Megaria, and it's not that bad. This card used to be busted with Sun Clan Tortoise. And that is all the nature cards. So, what should we do next? Let's move on to Darkness. So, Darkness, this update, it is extremely busted. Like, even though it only has a few new cards, it is extremely busted. So, Snake Trap, when this card was released, I think it had like a ton of bugs. Like, when you would summon a spell, or like cast a spell, it would trigger Snake Trap on the spell. But this card, it's really good with Undead King. And this card is busted as hell. I'll get to that later. Maddening Strings. Okay, this card is super busted. Trap, when your opponent targets a minion, they instead target another random one. So, this counts like stuff like Soul Drain or stuff like Faceless. Also just Destruction. You have to play around it, like, and you don't even know if they have it because Darkness has a lot of good, or just Darkness has very good traps. These 3 are not even that bad, and you just need to try and play around it when you think they have it. This is a very good card, and it's 2 cost, so it's very cheap. You could just include it as filler, and this card would be game changing. Skeleton Soldier. So I really like this card. This card is very good, especially in like Souls, and this is just a very good card. Not overpowered. It's just a good deck thinner. It's like the best deck thinner. This is like Cricket if on steroids. And this, unless it's just 2 costs, but it's Cricket on steroids. It's very worth running. This card is super easy to get out, and you can pair this with Feeding Frenzy and would be consistent. Dark Necromancer. So this is another soul support card. Some base copies of 2 random any minions that died last round. So basically, you could summon like, this card really depends on what you destroy. It is free stat sticks on the board most of the time, but if you get this in your starting hand, it's pretty bricky. But if you did destroy like your opponent's Voxa, then this card is busted as hell. Feeding Frenzy. So this card honestly just feels like a power crept Death Smoke, but you just need a zombie on your board, which is super easy, because of Skeleton Soldier, and you just steal power from your opponent's minions, which is extremely good, and it's until it dies. So like, this card just power crept Dead Smoke. I don't really have anything else to say about this card. Gaunt Bone Weaver. So if you control a trap, steal 4,000 power from a minion. This card is 4 cost 4k. 4 costs 4k is already very good, and 4,000 power. So this Darkness has very good traps. Like, these traps could be ran in like any deck. So 4 costs 4k, steal 4,000 power from a minion. This card just, it's not OP, but it's very overtuned. Soul Split Rune. This card is, I'm just saying all the Darkness cards are busted. All the Darkness cards are super good. Like, after a friendly minion dies, summon a base copy of it. This used to be 3 cost, now it's 4 cost. This card is super good. Like, I don't really have anything else to say. Like, protection of your minions, and like, just good in every deck. You can play this in every Darkness deck. Wandering Brain Eater. This card got nerfed. This card used to be steal 2,000 power. But I don't really see this card being played. It is probably one of the more tame Darkness cards, for sure, from this update, but this card's not bad. This card is very playable. It's like Forest Hornet, I guess. Grievous Call. Okay, this card is super rusted. Draw 3 cards from your graveyard. You must play one and discard the others. This just adds so much consistency to Darkness, and it does not need new consistency. That's it, basically. And this card used to be 5 cost, and you did not have to play. And you could just draw 3 from your graveyard, which is honestly insane. Vile Reanimator. Honestly, I haven't really seen this card being played. It summons it back with minus 2000, which is theoretically an infinite loop with Withering Blade, but it only summons 2 7Ks. Honestly, I don't really see, like, where this would be played. It's just, honestly, too much setup and slow. Undead Army, summon all zombies from your graveyard. This just bow them on a spell, really. This card's pretty busted. Not much I really have to say. It's pretty generic. Devouring Abomination. So this card, it used to be 3k and steal 3k from your opponent's deck. This card's like this would be played, but it's way too expensive. This card got nerfed. I don't know why it got nerfed, but this card's expensive, so that's why people don't really play it. Death Liger. Okay, this card, I don't really see this card being played. Basically, decks cannot be recycled, so you can't war because it sends both your decks to the graveyard, so it just stops war, which is honestly not even a bad mechanic. Like, stops luck sacks, I guess. Undead King and Queen. This is probably the best Darkness cards, especially this guy. Undead King. He's just so busted. You just pair this with like Stinger Worm and just steal all your opponent's minions, and they can't play anything. This just so good. It got nerfed, and it's still so oppressive. Nothing I really have to say about this. This just looks at 5 cost 6k, which is not even that bad, and it sets you up for Undead King. Void Consumer. This card, it's you just play Soul Split Rune before it, and nothing your opponent can really do. And it just steals all their power. So it's very good against souls and decks that play a lot of small minions. This card is very good. It had to get nerfed. Okay, so that's all the Darkness cards. Darkness update is probably like it's meta. I'd say it's meta for sure. Like zombies, souls. Zombies and souls are just super strong in this update with the new support. Death Liger, it used to be really good, but honestly, I don't know what happens to Liger. No one really plays Liger anymore. Even after it got nerfed by 2k. Okay, so what element next? I say fire. Wastelands, fire. Fire, it's like all these cards are pretty alright. None of these are very oppressive besides this card. But this card used to be way better. Okay. Inferno Tome Trap. This card's neat filler. When your opponent draws a card, they discard it at the end of your turn. I mean, this forces them to play the card unless they want to go minus. So this card is pretty good, but not much for a 1 cost. Toolbox. Get 2 random machine parts. This card is super good. I don't know why this is one cost. This is like the best filler you could have. Like you could just play this in any deck. And machine parts are just super good. Like this gives minion shroud. And it just so versatile. This just destroys a minion. Toolbox is one of the better cards in this set from Fire. Toolbots, machine part, not worth playing really. It's probably a brick most of the time. This card's not worth playing really. Just play a better 2 cost. This card, it's also pretty mid. I mean, like, I only see this really good with, like, Doom Cannon mech, but there's not much ways to get machine parts besides Toolbox. And Ammo Train. And the ability. And those are a lot of investments. So, I don't think this card is that good. Scrap Scavenge. This pairs pretty well with all the new control in Fire, this format. I think this card's pretty solid. Draw 2 cards will always be good, no matter what, and you just cast this on the side, and like with Twin Cannon or like any of these, Mighty Stomp, Blaster Voltios, it's not a bad card. I like this card. Rotis the Destroyer, okay. Improve the power destruction of all cards in your hand by 2,000. I mean, it is 4 cost 4k, obviously, so I can't really complain about the effect, but it's just too bricky, and you don't really want to keep them in your hand that often because it loses you draws, and yeah, I don't really like this card, really. It's like alright, but 8k rock bite, I guess. Simian Trooper, this pairs really well with the Toolbox and machine parts because it's basically just a free 6k off Toolbox, and the ability you can get an extra 2k. This card gets big really fast. It's not a bad card. It's a good alternate win condition. It's solid, I guess. Ammo Train. This being play first, kind of. This being play first is understandable, but I don't see it really being played. Because, like, I did play this, like, when the update started. 2 machine parts is very good, but just play Toolbox. It's 1 cost. It's not play first. I just see no reason why would you use this. Why you would use this, instead of Toolbox, because Toolbox is just way better. Barrage, at the end of the round, destroy all enemy minions with 4,000 or less. This card, it's really matchup dependent. Sometimes you'll never have it live, and sometimes it'll be just a game ender. But honestly, this card's not. It's good, but I wouldn't play this because it's 5 costs and too much of commitment. Decimator Volgeyser. All your power destructions are improved by 2,000 and have charge. So this is power destructions. So like stuff like Forge of Mirrors will not get charge. But this does work pretty well with like Mighty Stomp or like Magic Guard. This card's alright, but it's not really anything too oppressive. It's cute to make a deck a bit based around this, but honestly, this card's not very powerful. Mighty Stomp, destroy a minion with 3,000 with 9,000 or less. Get this back with 3,000 less power destruction. This could just honestly make you lose draws. Like, this is good, this effect is good. It can make them like not place any minions because they know you have Mighty Stomp. It's like a glorified recast, I guess. But this card's pretty solid actually. Not much I could really say about this card. This is just solid. Blaster of Audios. Destroy all enemy minions with 2,000 or less. Improved by 1,000 for each other cards you play this round. This card's actually pretty good. So the thing is, you could play this with Sky Crusher, and you could just burst this out and destroy all their minions. So it's like Burst, Storm Spark. And with machines, you could just easily play a lot of cards. So this card, it being 3k, is very good. Because you can just burst this out with Jump Jet or Sky Crusher. And that makes this card very good. I think this card is very good. So we do have a split for fire. Not much I could really say about this. It's like, I haven't seen this being played. Draw 1 cost card. And I mean, it is 6 cost 2 cards. So it's not that bad, but I guess it's a free 7k on board if Volko is in deck. And you could also just draw other 1 cost cards. So this isn't that bad, but I don't see it being worth playing. Doom Cannon Mech. Okay, this is like probably the best card in Fire this update. After you play 3 cards once a turn, destroy a random enemy card from their hand, deck, and board. This used to be each time you play a card, destroy a random card from their hand, deck, or field. This card, it's still good. Like, you could definitely use this as a win condition, but it's past its former glory. Fire this update, all the cards are like, alright, they're not meta defining or anything. I still find myself using most of the old fire cards. A lot of these cards are just not really worth playing in my opinion. They're not bad though. Okay, let's go to water. Okay, so water this update has received a ton of changes. This virus archetype, it just got completely reworked because it was too oppressive the moment they released it. So let's get into water. So virus veil, it is a 1 cost. Cogs or hand. Not much I could really say. It's just solid, I guess. It's a 1 cost. Only really plays in viruses though. Viral Swarm, 2 cost. It's a 2 cost, like, just give your opponent 1,000 infectious viruses. So basically just give your opponent's minions from anywhere -2k at the end of the round, but it also clogs their hand. This card's pretty good. This card's pretty good for viruses. This is like auto-include in viruses. Memory Shocker. Again, this is just another virus support. A lot of the new cards are here are virus support. Gain plus 2,000 for each virus in both players' hands. That's just... This is like creates an alternate win con for viruses, but not really playable anywhere else. It's like niche. Submarine Mine. Okay, so this card is very good. After your opponent plays a minion, destroy it. It's 1-for-1 spot removal. So, like, if your opponent knows you have Submarine Mine, they just can't play anything. And you could easily get this out with like Stream Star or like a lot of the other spell support that water has, because traps are considered spells. Not too overpowered, just a pretty good card. Control Freak, duplicate the highest cost card in your deck. This card's pretty cute. I think does have some stuff, and it's not minion, so you can duplicate like very powerful spells like Cosmic Nebula or Cosmic Nebula did get gutted this update, but you could duplicate basically like King Tritonus, Undertale Horror. This card's not bad, but it's kind of a alright. Impossible puzzle. So this is just cast a random trap spell. After it triggers, cast another random one. This is, if you get a good trap, this is very versatile. And you can it also casts another random one, so this is solid. This is auto-include in trap decks probably, because it just gives you a lot of traps, and you want to trigger your traps because of this card. And yeah. Mind Flayer, shuffle 1000 viruses into your opponent's deck. Honestly, this is literally just viral form, but attached to a minion. Into your opponent's deck. Yeah, this gives them like dead draws, like they draw the viruses instead of the cards they actually need. So this could be used in a lot of other different decks, but still, I only really see this played in viruses. Stream Star. This card is very powerful. I wouldn't say it's broken, but it is pretty powerful. Just cast a top trap spell from your deck, and it is a blocker, and it's play in death. So this card is very solid. It gets you to like these, and it's just very good. Probably like an auto-include in traps. Gel Catch. This card's really good. I don't really have anything else to say. After you draw 3 cards, summon a copy of one of them. You can choose. So it's not like random, you can choose. And you can also steal your opponent's stuff, so like... And if you draw a Mother Virus, you could just have 2 Mother Viruses on the field. And it's just really powerful. This card may seem bad, but it's very powerful. Trojan Taskmaster. This is the best virus card this is the best virus support. Duplicate all the enemy infectious viruses everywhere. So basically, so it duplicates stuff from their hand. It duplicates in your deck. So if you have like 5, if you pair this with Mother Virus, they get viruses extremely fast. So you could just dupe them, and they get it. This card gets a ton of value. This card's like the probably carrying viruses. I think that's why they were so high cost. Like this card's a 4 cost 1k. This card is very good. Nightmare Ship. This card's very niche. I think it would be good if it wasn't minions that are stronger than this. But this card, I do see it seeing some play, just generically. But I haven't really seen where I would play this. I guess it's good in like hand buff, but this just gives you a ton of big guys, I guess. And you could pair this with like all the return that water has, and just give all the minions in your deck like a ton of power. So this card's not bad. It could be good in some decks, like you just jump scare them on war. So I think it's pretty good, but not all that overpowered. Undertale Horror. Okay, this card, I love this card so much. This card's so cool. So when a player's hand is full, summon this from your hand. So basically, stops you from burning cards, firstly. It's a free 9k. This is 9 cost 9k. This effect is already super good. So basically, just draw this off Reef Prince, and you just summon it, and it stops mills and from draws, and it's just you can do a lot of cool stuff with this card, like Snare, Spy Mission. This card is very versatile, and I'm excited to see what people will do with this card, because this card probably has a lot of potential. Mother Virus. This is probably like best or second best virus card. This card's really annoying because it's at the end of your turn instead of the start, which you can't really respond it to. So it's just at the end of each turn, just give your opponent's minions minus 3k. It's not bad. But it's 10 cost. This card's really expensive. This card's 10 cost. Only really played in virus decks though. Virus is like alright. It doesn't really have much win conditions. If you do get like 2 mother viruses with like Gel Catch or Trojan or Control Freak, it is very good. And you compare this with Trojan Taskmaster to just completely flood your opponent's deck and field and hand with viruses. So I don't think it's that bad. Okay, the Pirates. This is the most versatile card in the entire update, probably. Or like this is the best water card by far in the entire update. So basically, you could get like all these traps, like when your opponent casts a spell, when your opponent plays a minion, when your opponent draws a card. Like, you can do all these effects. Like, you can gain power, you can shuffle it into their deck, you can get a copy of it and play it. This split is just so good, and this card just gives you generic removal. This is just so good. Like, this is the reason why Water Trap is probably the best deck right now, because it's just so versatile. It can do anything. These are very good. Don't sleep on them. Undertale engines. These are very good. So both players draw 2 cards, which is, I guess it could be a bad effect. Like, probably it's a bad effect, but if your opponent has a full hand and you just play this, they mill a ton. And with the ability that Water has, it just, and this card's like why you want to play this split. Just play 2 cards. Like, this is just so good. You could play this in any deck. Like, adds consistency, and you could play 2 cards. Like, just gives speed that Water needs. So, very good. Like, you don't have to waste a legendary slot on Reef King. And that is Water. Water this update is honestly very good, very strong, and Water is probably my favorite class. And yeah. Okay, I think we have covered all besides light. So let's do light. Okay, light this update. It has a lot of niche cards. I mean, honestly, not a lot of cards are strong from light. So this does introduce like the self-silence and the immune. So here. Invincible Star. Give a minion immune until your next turn. This is good for a 1 cost, honestly. It gives your minions protection, assuming they do play a spell, which light does have a lot of. And it's just alright. It's not, this card used to be really good. It would give them immune permanently. Not permanently, it would give them immune. And it doesn't go away. So this card's just alright. Trap. When your opponent plays a minion, silence it. So this does negate the play effect. This card is extremely annoying. Light probably has the best traps besides this card. This card's alright. Light does have a lot of the best traps in this update, in my opinion, because it just disrupts both types of cards in the game. When your opponent casts a spell, disable it. When your opponent plays a minion, silence it. This negates play effects. This minion's power sets to 3,000 unless you control a trap. With an exclamation mark. I don't know why Iustin added that, but this card, you only really play it in self-silence. It's nothing really much to say about this. It's just a B-stick. This card, I've already talked about it. It's just very good. It's like, this is a repulse, but your opponent doesn't know. Like, and this just disrupts, like, this could just disrupt your opponent entirely. because spells are what some decks rely on. Silent Sanctuary. This card isn't really worth playing besides in the self-silence decks. It's just alright card. It's good against nature, I guess. Void Shaper, your other minions are immune. So immune just makes it so your minions are unaffected by card effects. So this is extremely good protection. You can play this in like any deck that makes a big board, like gladiators, and it protects them. It gives them one piece of protection from AoE, like Lost Solo, Storm Spark. Like, it's just very good. This card's good. Yeah. Arcane Warden. When you play a spell on this, cast the top spell of your deck. 5 cost 5k. Nothing really much to say. It's alright effects, but I don't really see this being played that much. Divine Arbiter. 5 cost 9.5k. But anime minions have plus 2,000. So when you do get to silence this, it's just a big beat stick. That's all it really is. Card's not very good, especially when you pull it on war against like swarm decks on like nature. This card's not very good. Just by itself, it's not very good either. Even with like silences, it's just a big guy. Like, it's cheap. If you do get to silence it, it's just a big guy. That's all it'll be. So big guys aren't really good cards usually. So yeah. Anti-mirror, silence a minion, then summon a copy of it. This card's really good. This card could see some generic play, because this does, when your opponent has like this Voxa, you could just silence it, and then, assuming they don't have a blocker, you could just silence it, and you get a lot of power from it. And this card is very good. And also silences like stat changes, so like good against nature, because like Bear Mother. This card's just alright card. Pretty good. Electro Surge, give a minion plus 3,000 permanently. This is probably this is my favorite card from the new update. I've tried this with like Vizier Hunter, and then on War, you just get like a huge ass body on War. So it's like burst, but yeah, this is very good. It's just free scaling, and that'll never be bad. It's 6 cost, but if you build around it, then it's good. Amundius. This card is... I like this card. It's very good. It's not very good. It's alright, actually. Copy a random card in your opponent's hand and play it. But you need to have no spells. That's a huge downside. So your deck needs to be all minions. If you build around it, it's an alright win condition, but really, it's just not that good in my opinion. Twilight Commander, when a friendly minion is silenced, give it plus 1,000 permanently. People were saying this card is garbage. This card is not garbage. It's 7 cost 7k, firstly. And works with Silent Sanctuary, works with like this, works with all the silence. This card is not bad at all, but honestly, you only see it in self-silence decks, which self-silence decks are not very good in the first place. So, yeah. Citadel Knight, 8 cost 6k, but it's immune. It's just a beat stick, like, nothing really to say. You can't really buff it either, so, because immune does make it immune to buffs, so this card's just a 6k dude, and not really good. This card is probably, like, one of my favorite cards from this update too. It's play a spell on the 6k body, which is already very good. I see it from, like, Earth and Asinus. But when you play a spell on it, this gains 1,000 permanently. This used to be 2k, so you could combo this with Electro Surge, and it's just instantly 10k on one turn. So, this card, it's not amazing, but it's very good. Also, like, Empty Mirror just makes, like, 2 huge-ass bodies. So, big beater. A lot of light in this All Out of Light is just big beater in this update. Gladiators. These are the most interesting. So it's basically just Exodia. If you, at the end of the round, if you control all 3 gladiators, you win. Which, it's alright, I guess. I like this, actually. With Azuri, and you could just burst, like, draw burst, and this is pretty solid, but honestly, not, like, worthy to win a tournament, I guess. If you're lucky enough, you could win a tournament with this. But this deck is you have to build around it, so. And it is 3 cards. So it's alright. They have burst. You can burst them into war. It's a 1.5k. So that is all the new cards. So now I will be going over patch notes. So patch notes. Let's go to the most here. Wastelands pack. Yeah, we've seen this. So Grand Keeper, 6.5k. Doesn't really matter. These are just to like duck under barrage and stuff, and like rock bite. Yeah, I actually made a Fear Claw. If you control another minion, destroy another minion. I actually made a suggestion, but it like similar to this, but it's destroy minion instead of destroy minion with 3,000 or less. So, very cool that they actually added my suggestion to the game. The Reanimator now counts on minions that died. I mean, it's a good win con, but I haven't really seen anyone build around this yet. But this is a neat change. I'll need to see like the power of this before I actually have a comment on this. Cosmic Nebula nerfed. It was a pretty popular deck in last format. This was a pretty popular deck. It had a very good matchup against golems. Yeah, pretty sad that Nebula got nerfed. Nebula has been nerfed a ton of times. Ghost Spy no longer discards a card, it now draws a card. So if you pair this with Soul Drain, it's a draw 2 basically. It's honestly very busted. Darkness does not need more consistency. Draw 2 in Darkness is insane. Mesa Behemoth's text changed to play summon the top minion of each tribe from your deck. Mesa Behemoth is probably like, I really like Mesa Behemoth. Mesa Behemoth is a very good card, and this just makes it better. It was already pretty solid, but this just makes it better. Reverted Xander, because Ghost Spy was changed. No discard 2, so Crowwinger no longer counts itself, so this is basically just because zombies came out to this update, and that would cause infinite loops, but Crowwinger was not honestly all that good. Only saw niche play in reduced decks. Hydrus now only destroys enemy minions because of the new self-silence changes, and that would be anti-synergy. Changed Murderous Butcher's text to steal all. It's just basically it's the same effect, but it steals. Steal's a new like word. Argus no longer gives plus 1,000. Argus was a very popular deck last format, but honestly, I hate you Argus players. Like, I don't really care about this change. Change Dreamcatcher's text to spells are disabled during war and are shuffled into your deck. So this card is very funny. Like, even though it's not really played, it is very funny because you can steal your opponent's spells, which really only a tech card, and there's no like side deck for tournaments, so I don't see this card being played for a while unless it's like there's like a new thing they could synergize with spells being disabled for some reason. Skyward cost change from 1 to 2, and text 2 at the start of your turn, discard a random card, and it switches sides. Card does make Sky Raider a whole lot better. It's good disruption, I guess, but I haven't really seen this card being played. I need to see its power before I actually look at it. these are some battleground changes. No one really cares about it. And that should be all from the update. So thank you for listening to my yap session, and I'll see you later. Thank you for watching. And Iustin, please add my art. Please add my art as cards. Thank you and goodbye.